hey, let's just walk down the hill instead of, I don't even care about the mile walk. How about a fucking Uber, buddy? Alrighty, it's the rundown. Thursday, November 21st. You got the big three here today. We got myself, John Rich, and Vibs, probably a little bit in anticipation of the biggest college football game of the weekend, Ohio State, Indiana. But before we get to that, anticipation is also building for NASCAR. The adrenaline of the Daytona 500 is something you have to experience in person. There is nothing like witnessing the stars of NASCAR battle for position, going 200 miles an hour, 2.5-mile speedway. 40 drivers will compete against the likes of Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Ross Chastain. Sorry, Ross, if I said that wrong. Bubba Wallace as they try to mark the start of the historic NASCAR season. You won't want to miss this once-in-a-lifetime sporting event. Here's what I'll say. Spider, Mark Titus, there's a Quiggs. There are people in this office that are fired up for NASCAR to come back. Daytona 500, get your tickets today. 2025 Daytona 500 at Daytona500.com. Boys, are you guys
Daytona,
NASCAR guys? You guys have to be Indiana people.
I dabble. It's more IndyCar when you're from Indy, but like NASCAR's awesome, especially Daytona 500, because like the access you get with NASCAR, like at the Daytona 500, 5 minutes before the race starts, you're on the track. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy. You can just go hang out on the embankment.
I've heard it's the best sporting event to go to live is a live race and the atmosphere is awesome. So
It's
Yeah,
it's it's
I only
great.
went to one down in
There's so-
Texas. All I really know about NASCAR is just follow Quig's bets, and he'll probably win you millions of dollars.
yeah,
all right, that's good advice. All right, first topic. Did you guys see Jay Leno?
yes.
Uh-huh.
What on earth happened to Jay Leno?
Oh, your poor face.
Look at my eye.
Oh my gosh.
Jay Leno is all bruised up. The left side of his face is black and blue. His eye is swollen shut.
So the story, John, you blogged it, didn't you?
Yeah.
So the
Yes.
story was that he tumbled down a 60-foot hill outside of Hampton Inn because he thought it was a shortcut to his route to dinner. Am I missing anything? And then his face looks like he just went 30 rounds with Mike Tyson.
No, yep, you're spot on. Jay Leno, he took a tumble down a hill. He was going to Applebee's or something, which I guess you do when you're fucking billionaire Jay Leno staying at a Hampton Inn, taking a shortcut down the hill to Applebee's. And that's the fucking story. He fell down a hill the other day. What, about a year ago, he got in a brutal motorcycle crash. About a year before that, a giant explosion happened in his garage. So he's just living life like Wile E. Coyote, basically. Just leaves his house and something terrible happens. He's just an idiot.
The funniest part about that video where he's like showing his bruise is he's got this eye patch on, but then like to show his bruise, he like lifts up the eye patch and it's like, brother, we can see your face is really fucked up before you lift the eye patch. But they show the hill and it's like, where is the spot that he thought he could like take a shortcut? Like it doesn't make sense. But everyone's saying like he's involved with the mob and stuff. I don't know if I buy that. He's got so much money. He'd always like brag about like I haven't even spent my late night money. This is my Jay Leno impression.
Yeah,
He's like, I'm still spending my stand up money because apparently he gets like $1 million a show, even though no one's ever seen him do stand up. But like, I don't know, old people just get hurt all the time. Like my grandpa, I'll go over to his house and he's just got like some fucking gash in his forehead because he fell, and it's like, yeah, old people fall all the time.
That I agree that it's probably not some like organized like hit on him or mob related or whatever. I'm calling bullshit on the hill though. First of all, that hill's not 60 feet. And second of all, none of us are worth millions upon millions. And I don't know if we're at a Hampton Inn being like, hey, let's just walk down the hill instead of, I don't even care about the mile walk. How about a fucking Uber, buddy? Like, why is he looking for shortcuts?
Not going to get
old
into any
people
car
don't-
that's made after like 1980. He's not taking it.
That's true. But old people aren't using Uber. That's technology doesn't exist to them. But like that's exactly something an old person would do. Is like, oh, I'm gonna find a shortcut and go down this hill. Like it's a little adventure. Uh, yeah,
Sorry.
I get what you're saying, but like, why? I don't know. I don't. Why lie about it? But at the same time, like the hill, like there's no way he could have. There's no easy access point where he's like, this is the spot I'm taking.
And it is a little weird. It's a little weird that, like, why is he doing stand-up right now? that does make me think that like he's fucking more bruised than person. Like if he didn't need the money, you would think he wouldn't be doing stand up. So maybe he does got a little like something going on. Like maybe he
I,
had out a few too many loans on like Mustangs from 1940 or something.
True, but like he just loves doing stand up. He's been doing it even when he was on the late night show and he was getting paid $30 million like a season. He was still like getting on his private jet and going and doing shows. Because it's like a different, he's not like hopping in a Toyota Prius and driving 12 hours to go to the Kansas City loony bin. He's getting on a private jet, landing, and then apparently going to fucking Hampton Inn, which is crazy.
Also,
but
something doesn't add up about. That's what I'm saying. Why is
now that I just said that, the Hampton Inn private, like, because I know he flies private and stuff, but yeah, something doesn't make sense. I'll give you that, but I don't know if it's the mob.
Stay tuned. There's more to this story.
Speaking
of more to the story, go ahead.
One more thing about Jay Leno that I've always found interesting. You can't find his stand-up like anywhere. Like it is nowhere. Like you can't. Like if you go online, you will not see Jay Leno do stand-up. Apparently, I kind of respect this move. He's just been doing the exact same act for like 50 years, but it never goes out. So he can just keep recycling it and just keep doing the same fucking 60 minutes and make $1 million. Like nobody else does that, but that's kind of genius.
I respect.
And everyone's like, he's the best stand-up comedian out there. Like, he's the top 5, and like no one's ever seen him do stand-up unless you're at one of these like corporate events.
We need video of Jay Leno stand-up, and we need video of this fall, and then I'll believe both. That's where we'll leave it. All right. Kai, are either of you guys Twitch streamers? Kai Cenat's the next story. I'm not much of a Twitch guy, but this video of him stumbling upon this girl who has been live streaming her life 24 hours a day for 3 years is insanity.
3 years. She's been live for 3 years. Hey, how do we talk to her? Hey. Hi. I see it in Discord, right? Whoa, she's been streaming for 3 years? Where does she live?
What?
Where does she live? Where does she live?
No.
Is she crying? You've been live for 3 years?
I've been live for 3 years straight.
No,
yes.
You're lying.
I'm not lying. You can look me up. It's on, I have an article. I even talked to BuzzFeed. I've been live for 3 years straight, 24/7.
How the fuck have you been live for 3 years?
I'm not a Twitch stream fan, but I've dabbled in the 2400-hour live streams, that realm. And I don't, shout out Clemmer. I want to know what this girl's doing. Like, is she just doing her normal day stuff? Is she sleeping for 23 of the 24 hours?
Have you seen the girl?
I watched it. So,
no.
She said she used to shower on camera in like costumes, and I guess she streams herself sleeping. She obviously doesn't date anybody. Like she'll have friends come over. I think she said she takes her phone with her, so like she does like leave the room and is streaming like mobily, I guess. But that's fucking crazy, man. 3 years. I get overwhelmed from like nothing. So I don't know how the fuck.
Ultimately, I think her goal has to be to like blow up and be like a big time. So that I will give her credit. Like hat tip, you have worked your ass off for 3 years going 24/7. But if you haven't popped off in 3 years, at what point do you hang up the cleats? Like at what point is out? Maybe she just did pop off because Kai Cenat found her.
Right. I think that's what you're waiting for. You're just doing it for 3 years until someone big notices you. Also, I just clicked on her stream. Like, I thought no offense to her, I thought she was going to be a freak. She's not. She's
pretty girl.
An attractive girl. Yeah.
I would endorse her. She should. Let's get some more eyeballs on her because she's definitely a pretty girl. We got to find out if she's interesting. Maybe she can be your next big streamer. What's she doing right now, Vibs?
I think this is just the video that Kai Cenat posted. She's just sitting at her chair, just like talking. So
I think she definitely
nothing crazy, nothing groundbreaking.
She said that she just wants to play video games was like kind of her reasoning, like why she's doing this. She's like, I just want to play video games for a living and talk to people.
Does she have a fucking job?
No, I've got to do this, right?
Wow.
She must have a solid following.
See if you can
figure
that out. I mean, ultimately, I can't imagine going live for an entire day, let alone an entire day for 3 straight years. So
Yeah, because like when you stream, like you go out in the real world and like experience stuff and do things. If you're just sitting in your house for 3 years, like you don't have any new experiences or things to talk about. I guess everything's just like headlines that you read in the news. Like it's kind of weird, but I don't know.
who
Credit
would
to
you
her
most
for
want to see? Who would you most want to see at Barstool do go live for an entire year, an entire 3 years? What would it be? Who would your choice be?
Mincy.
I gotta go Clemmer. Oh, Mincy, yeah, yeah. I
I
Mincy.
I think White Sox
I
Dave.
followed him around in secret for a couple days, and that was pretty incredible.
Mincy,
yeah,
White Sox Dave, I think would be. I think White Sox Dave would get the most. I think people would get frustrated watching Mincy. Like they'd be like, Mincy, what the fuck are you doing? But I think you would get a lot of natural laughs out of White Sox Dave just operating his daily life.
yeah. I feel like the White Sox Dave stream would like get dark. You know what I mean? Like it'd be good for a while, and then it'd be like, whoa, this is too much of a peek behind the curtain into Dave's brain. Like I think it'd
Mincy
be
might get a
scary.
little dark too.
Yeah, yeah. Mincy
A
though,
lot
I
of
don't
our
know.
streams might get kind of dark if we're being honest about it.
I
That's
think
true.
Mincy's the type of guy, like if he lives in like an apartment building, he probably forgets his key like 3 or 4 times a week. But I could see like White Sox Dave being like, if we live stream him, like when he gets home, he doesn't lock his door. He just gets his baseball bat just in case someone's about to break in. I think White Sox Dave's a funny dude.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And I don't even think he's trying to be funny. Like he's just
Exactly.
naturally, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. All right, let's talk football. We've done enough. It's the middle of November. First, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. So they got broken into back to back in October. And anyone with a brain realizes that is not a coincidence. Someone is coordinating this hit because they know it was either day of or preparation of a big football game. They know they're gone. They broke into the house. It has came out that this is the work of a theft ring run by the South American Cartel. Does that make it better or worse for you guys?
Way
Worse
worse.
in the sense
You
of
don't want,
I'm
You
more
think it's
scared.
scarier?
I think it's a lot
yeah, you
scarier.
don't want the cartel on you.
But
I
let me
had
tell you something,
Jackson
Vibbs.
Mahomes
They're not
said-
going to be on me and you.
Right. But what would it, what's the alternative to, if it's not the cartel, who would it be? Like just a
I'm more,
random person?
yeah. Well, obviously they were connected. I guess my point is,
Yeah.
I am more scared of walking down the street and like a crazy motherfucker in Chicago or a crazy motherfucker in New York committing some sort of crime against me than I am of orchestrated attack. So we're out of the woods on that.
For sure. Yeah. Like the other day there was the headline was like crazed man with a knife stabs 3 people, and it was like right next to my apartment. It's like
That's what I'm afraid of.
yeah, that's yes. And when you got to keep your head on a swivel, because when you're like just on your phone going through shuffle on Spotify, someone's just gonna run up and stab you for no reason. That is more terrifying. But obviously, just seeing the cartel and being like, "Fuck, they're after me," like that's not good. But
Yeah, that's
at
C
least
word scary.
I'm assuming Mahomes and Kelce aren't like moving weight and dealing drugs. That's when it's like scary. This is just like, hey, we know they're not going to be there. Because like Mike Vrabel got his like Super Bowl ring stolen during a game
Right.
one time. Like this is like a thing that happens. Like they're not going to be there. This
How
is why we have.
How rich do you have to be to have someone watching your house? Like Patrick Mahomes signed hundreds of millions. Does he not have someone out front, or do they? I don't know. I'm not worth 500.
Well, this is like anytime like you're going on like spring break with your family, you're like, hey, the neighbor. It's like, oh, hey, you're not going anywhere. Just keep an eye on the house. Make sure everything's fine. Like, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
you like leave your living room light on while you're gone, or it's on a timer. Like that's what
Or just
like normal people do.
or just buy aren't there like a million like no free ads, but like Simply Safe, like can't you just buy a system and then get an alert like the minute someone's even like near your home, your phone starts
Well-
going off, like your wife's not
Yep.
like Taylor Swift or Patrick Mahomes' wife like isn't getting an alert saying like, hey, there's people at your house.
That's a great point. Like I pay $3 a month for a camera to sit on my
Yeah.
doorstep. But I will say,
Yep.
maybe the cartel has thought of that as well.
Hmm.
Maybe the cartel did. They just walk right in the front door and the camera doesn't get them. I don't know.
They also might live in like maybe like gated communities where they like think the security is on top of shit. And
Yeah.
like they probably do like have some kind of security team supposed to be looking at their house who You can maybe sneak around if you're the cartel.
On quarterback, they like showed Patrick Mahomes like compound that he's building, and it was kind of like in the middle of nowhere. It looked like, but yeah, like if you think a couple Simply Safe cameras, slap those on there, and you can get some notifications.
Boom, problem solved. We beat the cartel.
Yeah.
Actually, cartel,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not talking shit. We didn't beat you. You guys,
no, yeah.
you guys won. All right. Is it snowing in New York right now?
No,
It's
not
not.
at
It's
all.
raining.
It is
It's like
fucking
50 degrees.
Listen, it is snowing. I would say it is blizzarding in Chicago right now. It is coming every which way all over the place. And I was walking into work today and I realized we are 1 month away from the college football playoffs starting. And if the bracket started today, the home teams would be Ohio State, Indiana, Notre Dame, and Penn State. It is 33 degrees or lower at all 4 sites right now, and it's snowing at 3 of the 4. SEC fans, what would you, Vibs and John Rich, you guys are Midwest guys. What do you say to our SEC fans?
When you say those 4 schools, you do not want to be in South Bend when it is winter. That is a miserable place to be. Yeah, we're used to it, but like these kids that grew up in fucking Florida, they probably never even seen snow. I guarantee half these rosters haven't seen snow. And I will say, like 30 degrees, yeah, it's whatever. To us, that's nothing, but to them, it's probably going to be the worst.
Yeah, if it snows in any of those, so Ole Miss would be coming up here, Alabama, Georgia. If they even have a forecast for snow at those types of schools, snow day.
For sure.
It's 32 degrees and blizzarding right now. That's how the world works in Ohio and in Chicago and in Indiana.
No,
yeah,
they can't handle it. When I remember, I lived in Texas for a year, and it snowed like maybe half an inch. Like it all like shut down. Everyone's freaking out. And what I didn't realize, like I went to drive my car thinking like, oh yeah, this is like no big deal. Like I do this shit all the time. They're so unprepared. Like half an inch of snow, like you can't drive. Like you cannot drive on the roads. It is fucking terrifying. So they're completely unprepared. The other thing though, Mike, I'm so fucking broken by like the discourse around college football that when you wrote that blog, my first thought was like, I almost don't want it to happen because we're just we're gonna get these 4 snow games, maybe Big Ten wins 3 of them, and then that's just like, well, like that's the reason the SEC lost, and then we have this whole fucking debate about home fields and what's fair and what. It's just a whole other stupid fucking debate about fairness or whatever. I just
absolutely. There's going to be a thing where it's like, well, we need to have the playoff in indoor stadiums so that the weather is never a factor, and because it's unfair to the SEC, or 100% that's going to happen.
I'm interested. I don't know if I'm being honest. I do think it matters. I think that it will matter if Ole Miss or Tennessee comes up here and has to play in a snowy game in Columbus. I think that'll matter. Our roster is also not made up of all Northeast Ohio guys. No, our roster, right. we go down to South Florida and get the same kids that Miami does. So it'll be interesting. But I guess my request is when they make the schedule, the first game, because there's 1 Friday night game and 3 Saturday, I need that first game to be our very best representative from the Midwest, because the narrative's either going to be like either Ohio State's going to kick the shit out of someone and it's going to be like, all right, Big Ten pride, they don't want to come up here. Or no offense, you guys can think of who the weakest of the 4 teams is. They might get their ass kicked. Notre Dame, yeah. Penn State.
Notre Dame, yeah.
So anything else college football-wise before we talk about the big game this weekend?
I was just going to say, snow. I feel like, not that this fucking matters, but once you go south of Nashville, that's when like the slightest amount of snow just fucking throws a cog in everything. Like that's the line is Nashville to me. So
okay,
if you're south of Nashville, you're fucked.
And Tate, your take, and you wrote something about Joey Galloway too, Viv. It's about how Indiana should forfeit like the game against Ohio State because
it's a good idea.
And Joey Galloway said like they should sit Curtis Rourke, which is obviously like kind of a joke. In a weird way, that like obviously they can't forfeit. That's like a pro Indiana take in the sense like it almost like holds a mirror of like, look how fucked up your system is, or like we're just looking at like which teams like should be better. That it actually does like kind of make sense.
Yeah, on paper it absolutely makes sense. Like, yeah, but you can't. That's like
Obviously, you're not going to do it, but
that's what you do for that. But like, I'll talk about my problem with Joey Galloway in a second. But
Yeah.
my problem was that take. But it's like, if you forfeit this game, the biggest game, like where you have to prove yourself, when you do make it to the playoff, right before that playoff game, you're looking around the locker room like, yeah, we're the team that forfeited. And then whatever team is coming in there is like, yeah, we're gonna beat their ass. They forfeited the biggest game because they're cowards. Like you can't look yourself in the mirror and be like, yeah, we forfeited.
No,
Also,
of course not. But
for the rest of time, you're the team that forfeited. It's like,
But it goes
down
down as a 1-0 loss on the road to the number 2 team in the country. You can't ask for that.
On paper, it's like communism. On paper, yeah, it looks great, but whenever you put it into practical reasoning, it sucks. Like
if they were still doing like the purely computer-based rankings, like you might be onto something. But the committee is just going to cut them out if they would ever do that.
Yeah.
But honestly, the system is so fucked up that like I tweeted this like obviously as a fucking joke. If like somehow something happened where like Curtis Rourke couldn't play and it like wasn't an injury and it was like something like people like felt bad about and was like legitimate and he just couldn't play. Like, I think that would like guarantee Indiana a spot.
Yeah, I agree with you. So obviously forfeiting is like a funny idea, but the true way that Indiana could guarantee to be in the playoff is if somehow Curtis Rourke does not orchestrate, like if he twists an ankle on the first play, then everything that happens for the rest of the game, you guys are safe and you're 11-1, but your one loss is in Columbus without your quarterback.
Apparently that's how they look at college football.
But I don't even know if that matters because like when Jackson, their backup, was in against Washington, like we stomped Washington. Granted, it's not the greatest team, but it's like if your backup quarterback goes in and you don't really miss a beat, like that should mean something. And Notre Dame was still ahead of us. Notre Dame, who lost to Northern Illinois at home, like
people just have forgotten that apparently.
Yeah, no, that doesn't exist anymore. They're like, oh, well, they beat Navy by a shit ton in a neutral site. Like, they lost to Northern Illinois in South Bend. Like, you should be completely kicked out of the playoff conversation if you lose to Northern Illinois at home.
I agree. Hey, before we talk about the actual upcoming game, like what we think is going to happen, let's talk about Pardon My Cheesesteak. Football is obviously back in gear. Ordering Pardon My Cheesesteak for your game day meal, late night eats is the best play call you can make. Pardon My Cheesesteak brings you awesome cheesesteaks, loaded fries delivered right to your doorstep. It'll be offering free delivery all football season. Take your pick. Delicious cheesesteaks made with fresh, thinly sliced steak, melted provolone, mouth-watering cheese, caramelized onion, toasted hoagie roll. We have cheesesteaks, classic, chipotle, chicken, buffalo chicken, many more. You can order the popular Big Cat combo. Get your cheesesteak, choice of your flavor, fries, and a drink. Find a Pardon My Cheesesteak near you. PardonMyCheesesteak.com. Use code AWL for free delivery. If you guys want to get yours, you got to get it at fucking 11 a.m. on Saturday when Ohio State and Indiana play. The biggest game of the year? 2 versus 5?
Most fucking talked about one, I feel like. The most volatile one.
How do you actually, like, let's be honest first before we talk about what could happen either way. How do you feel going into it, Indiana fans?
I feel a lot better now that all of Ohio State's offensive line is just injuring themselves. That actually makes me think. I mean, that makes me feel a lot better when I saw that news the other day. Obviously, we're not cheering for injuries at all, but when I see Ohio State's like star center is out, it's like, oh shit, we got a pretty good defensive line.
Oh, yeah,
man. I don't know. I think Indiana can hang with anybody. Like, they're fucking good. I know they don't have any great wins, like, if you look at their strength of schedule, but I don't think a lot of teams would beat Nebraska the way we did. I don't think a lot of teams even beat, like, Michigan State the way they did. So,
Vibs, what do you think?
Yeah, right. You go strength of schedule. But the fact that I've said this all season, Indiana might not be the most talented team. I think Ohio State, I think Oregon and maybe
Georgia,
your SEC teams. I think they have more talent, but I think Indiana is the best team. Like every single week, they haven't missed a beat. They've just gone out there and played good football. They've blown the doors off teams. Granted, they're not the best teams, but you don't usually, if you're a bad team, you're going to struggle against these shitty teams. Mm-hmm. So I think Indiana is the best team, but I don't think they have the most talent. I think Ohio State has way more talent than Indiana has because Indiana has a bunch of JMU guys that, have been playing what is it, the Patriot League. I don't know. I don't know what conference they're in, but like it's yeah. The second half against Michigan didn't look good for Indiana, so that has me a little worried. But at the same time, you kind of need one of those like, hey, if you play awesome, you're like, oh, we rule, we're the greatest. You don't learn from it. But if you play like shit, you go into a bye week and then this Ohio State game being like, hey, we suck. If we don't have our shit together, we're gonna get stomped. So you could. I'm looking at I'm looking at a glass half full. Yeah, my voice cracked. That's not good. But I think Ohio State obviously has the upper hand. Like, I mean, it's in Columbus. The spread is like 13. But I think Indiana can definitely win. I wouldn't be surprised if they won. But I think Ohio State obviously is the favorite.
Yeah, I think clearly you guys, you have a really good coach. The fact that he has 2 weeks to prepare is probably, really good for you guys. Also, the fact, go ahead.
Would you rather? So I said this. I would have rather had what Ohio State had, where they played Purdue and Northwestern, where you don't have a bye, but you have these easy teams where you don't have the rest going.
There's there's two things I think that really are in.
Or you get a rest like Indiana.
I think there's two things that I think are in Indiana's favor. I think everything else in Ohio State's right now. Indiana has a good coach that has 2 weeks to prepare, coming off a wake-up call game. Like you said, they're not like their coach isn't having to tell them, hey, you're not that good. Hey, you're not that good. And try and convince a good team. He can literally just show the tape of Michigan and be like, you haven't played dog shit all year. You play a team with a pulse who's not very good, and you only won by 5. So I think he'll have them ready to go. I also am before the injury to Seth McLaughlin, I thought Ohio State was going to win this game like 41-7, 41-10. Now we have to move our guard back to center, break in a new guard. I still think I would favor more like Ohio State winning by 30 than losing. I really do. Because at the end, and that's not a knock, at the end of the day, Ohio State is still like, oh, we got to bring in a new guard. Yeah, he's a 4 or 5-star guy. That's what Ohio State has. So in Columbus, I feel good. Yeah. But what do you guys think playoff wise? Do you have to keep it close? Do you think you should be in either way? What's your number?
I think it should be in either way. Obviously, I think they should fucking be in either way. If they lose by 50,
right?
I don't fucking know. I hate how this is a fucking conversation when you talk about college football. Yeah. I think it should be in either way with one loss. I think the system's fucking ridiculous. But yeah.
Vibs, what do you think?
I understand strength of schedule. Indiana's strength of schedule is not good. And I've been saying it all. I saw the number where it's like Indiana has like a 96.8% chance to make it to the playoff. It's like the second highest of anyone besides Oregon. I've been saying it all season though, since they've been doing the projections. The committee would love nothing more than to be like, see, Indiana lost. Strength of schedule is this end all be all metric that we can use. And they lost this game to Ohio State, the best team they played. They got blown out. They're gone. And then they'll put in fucking Ole Miss or Georgia or something like that. But as of lately, I'm like, okay, well, maybe it doesn't really matter. And even if they get blown out, they'll still make it just because it's one loss. So I don't know. But the whole time I've been preaching that if they lose, they're gone. But now I'm not.
I wouldn't hate.
The committee is like in Indiana's favor. Like everything we've seen from the committee.
Yeah, so the first time you get
Indiana would be in. I know you'll see, but like the Indiana people like who are fighting it. We're not really fighting the committee. They're fighting like Ryan Ursillo and Brandon fucking Walker because they're just constantly shitting on Indiana.
Brandon Walker is shitting on you a little bit, but also he has. What was I going to say?
Mentions Texas too. Good for him.
He has been going at Texas too. I don't know. You guys have one shot. You have one opportunity, and if you keep it close, you're in.
My thing is
I'm sorry. I know what I was going to say. 1 second. Brandon Walker also thinks that the Big Ten is going to make the call to Ohio State and say, make sure you keep it. And I asked him. I said, Brandon, off camera, you're fucking around. And he goes, I'm telling you, it's going to be 21-3 at the half. Or it's going to be 37-3 at one point, and it's going to end 37-24.
Well, you could also like the committee now has like Illinois ranked which makes Penn State's win, like one good win look better, and Ohio State's win against Penn State look better. Because that's the thing. If you start looking at people's schedules, like, yeah, Indiana's strength of schedule isn't that great, but like Penn State doesn't have any good wins.
Yeah, they lost
Texas,
their only game too.
Yeah, their good wins are Illinois and Wisconsin. Like, okay, cool. Like Texas, their wins are Michigan and fucking, I don't know, Arkansas was like what they're like.
If you beat us, Penn State's the team that is going to be shitting bricks because you'll be ahead of us. And then how do you drop us below Penn State when we went there and beat them? We got Penn State fans in the office that are big time Buckeyes this week because the whole world's talking Indiana's strength of schedule.
Yeah.
They're going to talk Penn State's strength of schedule if all of a sudden their only game with a pulse, we beat them at their place.
Yeah, their best win is a loss to Ohio State.
Yep.
But shit, what was I just about to say? No, my problem with the committee, like I was saying, Indiana's being disrespected, and because Notre Dame was ahead of Indiana forever when Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois at home. But then once Indiana hopped Notre Dame, I was like, all right, I'm fine with these rankings. Like I think Indiana at 5 is where they should be. I guess you could say maybe Indiana should be ahead of Penn State, but yeah, I get it. Whatever. It's a 12-team playoff. Like as long as they're in, you get a chance to
get a dance,
somebody in the playoff.
Yeah.
As long as you're in, that's all I care about.
It's funny too how we're all like everyone's so mad about like where these teams are ranked when like your ranking does like not at all reflect how tough your path is like to get to the championship. Like it means nothing, literally.
That's
like,
my thing,
so, like,
John.
what are we even arguing about? Like it's all going to be like random. Wherever you get seated, like maybe you'll have a tough path, maybe you'll have an easy path. It doesn't really have to do with the ranking.
I'm going to do a vlog video at some point here. We were talking about it. I don't like how you're right. Like you might be the 5 seed, and right now the 5 seed's the place to go because the 12's not very good, the 4's not very good. I think you should be able to put your name on the bracket. Like Oregon, the number 1 seed, put yourself up there. If everyone wants to stay away from Oregon, stay away from Oregon. But I would you're right. You might get lucky as the 6 or the 5 and be like, oh, I like that matchup better than the 4 or the 3. It'll be interesting.
How do you feel about Joey Galloway, Tate? Joey Galloway, OSU alumni.
All I need to know was he trolling or not? Was he trolling or not? If he was trolling, I think it was funny. Obviously, my forfeit was a playoff, his dumbass idea. If he thought that was a good idea, we got to reevaluate who we put on television.
He kind of what John Rich was saying. He might just be saying it to show how fucked up the system is.
If he was, then I like it.
I almost kind of like it.
Yeah. My problem with Joey Galloway, my problem with Joey Galloway is he's been fucking chirping Indiana every single projection show. But the real problem is the way he talked to Booger McFarland, the fucking last projection show. Booger McFarland was making a good point about how Michigan's strength of schedule last season was dog shit. That. And what they do, they went in and they beat the SEC champ Alabama. And then at Texas lost on the other side of the bracket, both SEC schools. But the way he was talking to sweet Booger is a great man. And he was just fucking shitting on him. And I was like, you don't talk to Booger like that, Joey.
He was doing the whole like, no, that was last year. It's like cutting him off. Oh, last year. We're talking about last year. Just trying to end the argument. Like he's making a pretty valid point here.
That's Ohio State education. We're always right. So I agree with Joey on that one.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Good luck this weekend.
Yep.
Thank you.
I hope it's a good game. I know you're hoping for a blowout, but God damn it, I hope it's a good game. Because if Indiana gets blown out, we're going to have to eat a whole bag of shit.
Yep. All right,
I really think it's going to come down to Ohio State more than Indiana. I think Indiana is pretty much what they are. You guys have looked like complete fucking ass against like Nebraska. You look like shit against Northwestern, or you could just come out and like fucking roll. So
you're getting
more on how Ohio State shows up than anyone, I think.
All right, good luck. That's the rundown. Go Bucks.